And this evening, Toastmasters, I'm telling you, get ready, get ready, get ready. Bryan will share a personal story about struggle and determination. When you find yourself in a questionable situation, there's only one thing to do: act. Bryan's objective for his speech is to establish an exciting and dramatic excitement and drama. I got tongue twisted. By using realistic images to attract the listener's interest and capture emotion while creating suspense. Bryan's speech time is 5 to 7 minutes. Bryan Swanson, no water. Bryan Swanson.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and most especially guests. Big Bend National Park, Imroy Peak, my nemesis. I was destined to hike this mountain, so I set out on the path. Now this was a switchback kind of a path, if you will, nice and easy going. Lots of miles, about 10 plus miles, to an elevation of 7,000 plus. Shades, canopies, trees, really wonderful hike. But I tell you what, I was sweating like you wouldn't believe, because this was just about a month ago. The high time of July. What a great time to go hiking in the desert. I'm a thinker, that's what they call me. As I get to the top of the mountain, and I have another canopy of trees, there's one more stretch to go. I don my gear off, I take it off, I lay down my water pack, I walk out to the canopy where it ends, and I look, and I notice it's nothing, there's nothing out there. It's just desert and rocks on the top of the mountain, no shade. So I go back, I'm sitting there, I'm eating some snacks, I'm sipping on my little camel pack, getting some water, and I realize there's not as much water in this as I thought. So I make a decision. I'm going to go for it because I want to summit this mountain. It's the highest peak in Big Bend National Park. I don my gear, I walk out past the shade canopy, and I start to walk with a purpose. I get out there and I am moving. I did not want to spend any more time out in the sun than necessary. Now here I am, as you can imagine, I'm sucking on my little camel pack, if you've seen it before, and here comes that noise. It's air, and there's not much water left, and I'm shaking the camel pack, and I'm like, what's going on back there, camel pack? And this is what's funny, is I'm hiking by myself, and you know you might be going a little crazy when you're talking to your camel pack, because I was literally talking out loud. I was like, come on, what's going on back there? And the camel pack didn't respond. And I was like, you're no friend of mine. No friend of mine at all. So I saw a little tree up ahead, and I was like, shade. I'm gonna get me some shade. I run over. The tree's about this big. And I'm like sitting there thinking, shade. And then I looked up to the sun. I said, hey, why don't you stop all this crazy business and just leave me alone and go home? And the sun looked down at me and said, you're nuts. And I said, yes, I am. Help me out. Can't you tell I need some love right now? And the sun looked down and said, as more sweat poured from my body and I watered the plants around me, I was becoming dehydrated. So I continued to little tree, but then it got even more difficult. The little easy path that I went up became jagged rocks. And I whipped out my ski poles. Okay, they're called hiking sticks, but they really do look like ski poles. And now I'm and I'm moving, and the sun's beating down on me, and I'm really having a strenuous time in this last part trying to get through to the top. Finally up ahead, I see some more shaded trees. I make it over there desperately. I don off my gear. I am really hot. At this point, I've taken off everything, and I've got no shirt on, and I'm using the back of my shirt, which is filled with sweat, by the way. Yeah, that's right. Sick, huh? And I'm patting myself down because I've had heat stroke before in the military. Whoa. And I know I'm cooling myself off, airing out. I get out my chapstick, put it on my lips, so as to give my body the sensation that I am not dehydrated. And the summit is right around the corner. I can see the solar panel up at the top. And that is where the summit is. And let me tell you a little something about the solar panel. I don't know anything about the solar panel. I've never made it. I've never made it up there. So some other day, some other story, at some other time, I'll tell y'all what's up at the top. And I stood there, looking up, and I thought, is it time to make an executive decision? And I said, Bryan, you've never been an executive before. And I said, no, I haven't. And then myself said to myself, do you feel like you can make this kind of decision? Do you feel like you can be an executive? And I said, I do. The executive decision was made to descend the mountain. With a little bit of water left, I sucked in the water and I held it in my mouth on the back of my tongue as to also give that sense that I was not dehydrated. And now I started the double time. And this, for you non-Army folks, is just moving with a purpose. And I was moving like a lightning bolt. To tree, to little limb, to shade. And then I'd make it to a canopy, and then I'd don for about all my equipment real quick. I'd pat myself down with my sweaty shirt. I totally looked like an idiot. That's what I needed to do. Now the interesting thing is there was no emergency help that was going to be on the way in case I got caught on the mountain, because I passed everybody on the way up. And I knew there was nobody else. No cell service, no rangers are going to be going up on this mountain. And this was a desperate situation. So I acted, and I moved with a purpose. And I think that in life, we have these moments that we run into when sometimes we're unsure whether or not we need to act. And we either do good or we do bad. But if we don't act, I believe that's the worst mistake of all. In this situation, I decided to descend the mountain. And I made it, and I could barely talk. And one day I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell y'all, oh, what's at the top of that solar panel that's up there? Miss Toastmasters.
Mr. Timer, would you grant us one